Long ago, in the mist-covered lands of ancient Ireland, where emerald hills met silver lakes and magic flowed through the wind, there lived 4 royal children whose fate would become one of the most heartbreaking legends ever told. Born to King Lir and cherished for their beauty and kindness, their lives were filled with joy until jealousy cast a terrible shadow over their home. Transformed by a cruel spell and condemned to wander the waters for centuries, their story is not only one of sorrow, but of endurance, love, and unbreakable family bonds.
This is the legend of the Children of Lir.
Long ago, in the ancient lands of Ireland, when magic still lingered in the hills and the voices of the old gods echoed across the lakes, there ruled a noble king named Lir. He was a proud and powerful lord among the Tuatha Dé Danann, a mystical people of great wisdom and beauty. Yet for all his strength and honor, Lir's greatest treasure was not his land nor his power, it was his 4 beloved children. Fionnuala, the eldest and only daughter, was gentle and wise beyond her years. Her 3 younger brothers Aodh, Fiachra, and Conn were bright, joyful boys whose laughter filled the royal halls. After the death of their mother, King Lir's heart was heavy with grief, but his children were the light that guided him through sorrow.
In time, Lir remarried.
His new wife, Aoife, was the sister of his late queen. At first, she treated the children with warmth and kindness. But as the days passed, a dark seed of jealousy began to grow in her heart. She saw how deeply Lir loved his children, how his eyes shone whenever they entered the room, and she longed for that same devotion. Jealousy soon turned into bitterness, and bitterness into cruelty. Unable to harm the children directly because she knew Lir's wrath would be terrible, Aoife devised a wicked plan. She took the children away under the pretense of a journey, leading them to the quiet shores of Lake Derravaragh. There, under the grey and silent sky, she revealed her true heart. Using ancient druid magic, Aoife cast a powerful spell. In an instant, the 4 children were transformed into beautiful white swans. Though their bodies changed, their human minds and voices remained. They cried out in fear and confusion, their wings beating against the cold air. For a brief moment, regret flickered in Aoife's heart, but it was too late. The spell had been spoken. Yet even in her cruelty, she could not entirely destroy them. She declared that they would live as swans for 900 years, 300 years on Lake Derravaragh, 300 years on the stormy Sea of Moyle between Ireland and Scotland, and 300 years on the lonely waters of the Atlantic near Eris and Inishglora. Only when they heard the sound of a Christian bell would the spell finally be broken. When King Lir learned of the terrible fate that had befallen his children, his grief was beyond words. He hurried to the lake and called out to them. From the waters came the 4 white swans, their voices soft but clear, comforting their father even as his tears fell upon the shore. Lir wished to destroy Aoife, but instead she was transformed into a demon of the air, condemned to wander the skies alone forever, tormented by the winds she could never escape. And so began the long sorrow of the Children of Lir. For 300 years, they lived upon the calm waters of Lake Derravaragh. Though bound in feathered form, they stayed together always. Fionnuala, the eldest, became their protector and guide. At night, she spread her great white wings over her brothers to shield them from cold and rain. When the time came for them to leave the lake of their childhood, they flew to the Sea of Moyle. There, the waters were fierce and merciless.
Winter storms tore across the waves.
Icy winds separated them in the darkness, and many nights they called out to one another in fear, terrified that they might never reunite. Yet each dawn, they found one another again. Centuries passed.
The world changed. The old ways faded.
Kingdoms rose and fell. The songs of the Tuatha Dé Danann grew faint, replaced by new prayers carried across the land. At last, they were driven to the final place of exile, the wild western sea. There, loneliness surrounded them. The shores were barren, and few remembered the ancient magic that had once ruled Ireland. Their feathers, once brilliant white, grew worn and grey with age. Their voices became softer, filled with the weight of centuries. But still, they remained together. Their love never weakened. One cold morning, after 900 years had passed, they heard a sound unlike any Othera distant ringing carried across the wind. It was the sound of a Christian bell. Drawn by hope, they followed the sound to a small chapel near the shore. There lived a kind monk named Mochua. When he saw the 4 swans, he sensed something sacred in them. As the bell rang again, the spell shattered at last. Before his eyes, the swans transformed not into the young children they once were but into 4 ancient, fragile figures, aged by 9 centuries of sorrow. Their hair was white as snow, their bodies thin and trembling. Fionnuala spoke gently to the monk. She asked him to baptize them, for the old world had passed, and they wished to leave this life in peace. Mochua wept as he granted their request. Soon after, the 4 children of Lir lay side by side, their long suffering ended at last. Together they passed from this world no longer bound by curse or storm, but reunited beyond time itself. The monk buried them in a single grave, placing Fionnuala in the center, her brothers beside her, just as she had sheltered them through endless winters. And so their story became legenda tale of love stronger than jealousy, of endurance beyond imagination, and of a bond between siblings that even 900 years of sorrow could not break. To this day, when swans glide across the quiet lakes of Ireland, their white forms reflected in the still water, some say the wind still carries a faint, haunting song, a reminder of the children of Lir, and of a love that outlived even magic itself. For 900 long years, the children endured wind and wave, storm and silence, never losing their love for one another.
Empires rose and fell. The old gods faded.
A new faith came to Ireland. And at last, the spell was broken. Though their mortal lives ended, their spirits were finally at peace together, as they had always been. And to this day, when the wind moves across lonely lakes or swans glide across quiet waters, some say you can still hear the soft echo of their song, a reminder that love can outlast even the longest sorrow. If you were moved by this ancient legend, don't forget to like and subscribe for more timeless myths and folktales from around the world. Share this story with someone who believes in the power of family and loyalty. And tell us in the comments, if you were one of the 4 children, what would have given you strength during those 900 years? Stay with us for more legends where magic, history, and heart intertwine.